Alright, what's up guys? Thanks for coming back to the Barbell Medicine YouTube channel. Today's video, we're going to pick a winner for the Gains RX caption contest that we had for my deadlift celebration. You guys submitted like 250 something answers. I read through all of them. They were super funny. You guys rock. Thank you for participating. That was really funny to read all that stuff. You guys get me. You really love me. No, it was super funny. And we're going to talk about deload weeks. So this week, I'm on a deload week because I had a meet on Sunday. We also call this a pivot week. The idea is there's multiple functions for this week. Function number one, let any sort of niggling injury that's been persisting or not going away or any discomfort kind of dissipate. So anything that would cause an increase in pain, you just don't do this week. It's not important enough to do it this week because next week and going forward, the volume is going to be much higher and you kind of want to be fresh when you jump into that block. Occasionally, we'll take multiple weeks between large, between meets if you have the time, where you can sort of refresh. So that would be the function for like a GPP block. But I'm just taking a deload week or a pivot week where I'm going to use this. I used this week to sort of heal up. So things I didn't do. I didn't do any low bar back squats, not because they generally hurt me or anything, but I wanted to do a squat variation that effectively let my shoulders kind of rest a little bit, let my knees feel pretty good, but I still did some squats. Same thing, I didn't pull conventionally from the floor. That does put a lot of stress on my back, which it's designed to do to make my back nice and strong. However, I didn't want to overdo it this week, so I pulled sumo actually this week. The other thing it does, it resensitizes you to the lifts that you're going to see. So I intentionally selected variants that I don't normally do in training, with the idea being that next week when I jump back into the volume of my traditional lifts, I'll respond to them a little better than had I just kept hammering away. Also, this is just kind of like a week where I had low motivation to train overall, just coming off that meet. So it was kind of fun to mess around. So basically what I would do, I would do 1 or 2 lifts for sets of 10, again, which is not what I typically do in my training. So it's all, the main thing you notice is that these things are different than what I would normally do. So instead of a single at 8 and then a bunch of 5s or 4s or something like that, or 3s or whatever, I did just 10s to something that felt kind of hard. Then when I do some tempo lifts, like tempo squats or tempo deadlifts or tempo bench press or press, whatever movement I did first that day. And then I would do a little circuit for like 20 minutes with a press, a pull, and a squat. So basically I just did that. It was fun, it was relaxing. I got a bunch of, a lot of range of motion and a lot of blood flow through the muscles, but I didn't really stress or strain at all under anything heavy. So yeah, I trained 4 days this week, and I'll probably just do some GPP tomorrow on an assault bike or push a prowler, I'm not sure. But the idea is to feel fresh going into next week. The idea is to do some different movements so that way you get a chance to heal up if you had anything that was kind of bothering you, and do some different stuff. So you just have some fun in the gym under a low pressure situation. If I was doing a deload week in the middle of a training block, I might do it a little bit differently, particularly if you're getting close to a meet. So that I would probably do something different where I would just drop the volume way down, but maintain intensity. So I might have somebody do a single at 8, set of 4 at 8, but with no additional back off sets. And then for their supplemental stuff, they might just do sets of 5 up to 1 heavy set and then shut it down. So it's a significant drop in volume from what they would normally do. But they keep the specificity pretty high. They keep the focus getting stronger pretty high as well. And so that's how I would do if someone was like, a month out from a meet, 3 weeks out from a meet, and we were taking a deload week. The other question you might have is, well, why would you take a deload week or a pivot week? So for me, I just had a meet, so that's a good time to do one because you know that you kind of just, even if you just did a mini peak, you may need to take a week just to kind of get back in the swing of things, get refreshed before you jump right back into training. This is for like non-novices, obviously. For novices, I would actually just go right back into training. So if you're a novice, you just did this meet, or you did a meet, then what I would do on day 1 is I would squat, empty bar for a set of 5, and add weight for each subsequent set of 5 up until where the bar speed slows down. And that represents a challenge for the day, and that's where you restart your LP at. And then you can finish out your LP and move forward from there. But if you're an intermediate or advanced lifter, you just had a meet, that's a good time to take a pivot week, a deload week, or do a GPP block or something that's a little bit different if you have enough time between your next competition. That's pretty much what I would do. So if I actually didn't have a meet coming up in January, I'd probably do like 3 or 4 weeks of like GPP bodybuilding stuff just to kind give myself a little break, which is again a lot of that super tentorial. But we'll push forward. We got about 11 or 10 weeks, something like that, for the next meet. And then why would you do a deload week or have a pivot week in the middle of training? Not after a meet. If you see a significant decline in the estimated 1RMs or your performance is going down, that means that you're not responding to the training appropriately. And so if it's not due to any other outside thing like super stressful at work, super stressful at home, you're injured, you're losing a ton of weight quickly for whatever reason, or you're ill, something like that, and you see a trend, it's gone down either a bunch in 1 week or consistently over 2 weeks, then at that point you know that you need to change your training stress. And so it may behoove you to take a week to pivot to that next training block or to deload before you start your next training block, so you're a little more fresh to change direction, so to speak. So, typically the length of training where I don't take a block or take a week to deload or pivot, it varies from individuals. So, yeah, 4 weeks seems quite, clean cut, but I know that running a little bit longer block, 6 weeks, 8 weeks, I've seen that a bunch of times before I actually see that estimated 1RM kind of fall off, and then I'll take a pivot week for folks and switch them to something else. It's typically how I organize my intermediate advanced training if I'm doing that sort of block setup, which I tend to like. Okay, so that is enough on deload weeks. Hopefully, if you guys have more questions, post them in the comments. Maybe we'll do an article, might even do a whole podcast on something like that. Austin and I have got some ideas we're going to be doing, so, give us some ammo. All right, now let's pick a winner for their caption contest. So this is super funny. If you head over to my Instagram, Jordan_barbell_medicine, you can see that they're all the responses. Some of them were not PG-13, which again is it's fine, but also there's a family show. So I couldn't come up with one. I couldn't come up with one caption that just blew me away, stood head and shoulders above all others. I thank you guys all for your submissions. However, I'm picking 6 winners, so I'm going to send 6 of you some Gains RX. So we'll get your address. You guys can email me those at info@barbellmedicine.com or slide in my DMs, but I would prefer if you email them to me. So let's read them. These are funny. Way too strong. When you get that late night nuance and chill text. That was pretty good. All right. Killed it. Cole Chorba. That feel when all your Instagram Live viewers provide context in their questions and avoid giving you a headache from excessive nuance. It's perfect. You know me so well. Wilkes Booth. So he said that feel when Jordan screenshots my YouTube comment on his Instagram story when I coined the term barbell bachelor. And then he also commented when the brisket has been cooking for 3 days and the taste is far too nuanced to describe. So I think because I screenshotted that, I put it on my story, and you talked about my brisket, which, by the way, was amazing, you got to get some gains. So that's 3 of our 6. We're halfway there. The Tale of Sir Lance says, when the nuanced nebulous cohorts more interestingly titrated the weight to create a muscle protein synthesis response. That's like all my buzzwords, so I'm going to give you some gains for that. That's pretty funny. The Nerd Lifter says, that feel when she finally lets you out of the friend zone. Hey, I gotta give you props for that. That's funny. Golkar. And it's great because he has cinematography. So I'm going to give my best impression for if this actually happened on camera. He said, it says, zoom in slowly. Pause. Say slowly. At that exact moment, Jordan's fade grew 3 days fresher. Zoom abruptly back out. Cue Train Untamed rock music, which is Alan Thrall, his theme music, who's also actually working for Barbell Medicine now. So he's doing some online programming for us. So if you want to work with Alan, hit us up, info@barbellmedicine.com. So anyway, you 6 folks, get your gains. Send me an email, info@barbellmedicine.com. Get your guys' address, and we'll send you some free gains. I really appreciate everybody contributing to the thread. It was super funny. And we talked about deload weeks. And now we're going to do some training footage. So I did some sumo deadlifts today. And I think I widened my stance out from the last time I took a pivot week and did a sumo deadlift demonstration. None of these felt good. I don't like sumo, for me. I think sumo is super useful for people who otherwise cannot pull consistently and productively from the floor, so in the conventional stance. So if they can't do that, based on previous experience and they want to sumo, that's cool. If when somebody sets up appropriately for the conventional deadlift, if their hips are actually higher than their shoulders, like verifiably higher, and they're set up correctly, those people should pull sumo. And if you're an elite level competitive power lifter and you pull significantly more conventional, or sumo rather than conventional, then you should pull sumo. Go for it. You know, I don't think that if you're non-competitive and you're just going to the gym and you can set up correctly for a conventional deadlift and you can train the pull productively, I don't think you should pull sumo. I don't think there's any benefits over it. And I think, yes, there's less stress on the back, but there's more stress on the hips, particularly that angle, than the length between the foot and the hip. That's a pretty long little lever there. So, yeah, I don't think it's necessarily a good variation to do either all the time, except for maybe pivot weeks or GPP blocks or stuff like that. So, as far as one being better than the other, I think that I can make a good case that the conventional deadlift probably is a better choice for general strength trainees, particularly if they're going to do any of the Olympic lifts. And I think it contributes to the squat a little bit more, and vice versa. The squat contributes to the conventional deadlift a little bit more than the sumo deadlift. But hey, there's a lot of people who pull a ton of weight sumo, obviously, and then there's a lot of people who pull heavy weights conventional. And I think when you go actually look at all the records, you see a pretty even distribution where, some people are going to pull sumo and some people are going to pull conventional with no real bias one way or the other. I've actually seen an infographic where it looked like a lot of the lighter lifters pulled sumo and a lot of the heavier lifters pulled conventional, like body weight wise, but I think that changes so frequently that I probably would. It looks just more stylistic to me than a body mechanics or body size or body anthropometry sort of thing. What I mean by that is, if you're under 200 pounds, you should always pull sumo. Like, I don't think you can derive that from that sort of data, but it is interesting. So anyway, winners, send me an email. We'll get your address. Thanks for tuning in. Thanks for watching my YouTube videos. And you guys should subscribe so I can get Austin to put some more time into this too, so we can make some more videos. So anyway, thanks for tuning in. Catch you guys later.